In this video, we're going to cut through the noise and focus on the 5 most important concepts or topic areas that you absolutely need to master if you want to do the best on your NASM exam. Chances are you're watching this video because you're excited, you signed up for your NASM Certified Personal Trainer course, you're pumped to be working with clients, and you're like, all right, let's do this. And you dive into the materials, you dive into the textbook, and you're like, holy crap, this is a lot of information. How am I ever going to memorize and learn everything to actually do well on my exam? So the good news is you don't need to memorize all of it, right? Not all of it is going to be on the exam. Not everything you're going to use with clients when you first get started. So we want to make this video just to cut through all the stuff that's out there and say, hey, you know what? If you could only, right? Let's say you only had the ability to focus on 5 concepts, 5 really specific topic areas that are not only, and this is the key here, right? This is what's special inside of this video for you guys, that are not only going to allow you to do the best on the exam, but also the 5 concepts that I believe are going to make you a great coach. And that's really where the magic comes in. If we can keep you guys focused on not only, Joe, what do I need to know to do well and pass the exam so I can get on and actually train clients, but what am I actually going to end up using? So we're going to jump right into these 5 specific concepts and topic areas. So grab your paper and pen, take some notes, let's go. I want to jump right into what I believe are the 5 most important concepts that you need to master, right? Not just to do well on the exam, but also to do well with clients and be a great coach and trainer. All right, so the first one, and this really should come as no surprise, is mastering muscular anatomy. As you guys are inside of the material and you get into the chapters that talk about our human movement system, a major concept that continues to come back up is the integration and the coordination of your neurological system, your skeletal system, and your muscular system, all right? And that the coordination of those 3 is massively important. But when it comes to the muscular anatomy, your ability, even as you guys can see our cool little muscular anatomy guy that we got on here right now, your ability to visualize and see the human body in this way and recall the muscles, where they are, what they do, it's not only going to allow you to answer a lot of questions on the exam, but let's be real, this is what we do with clients mostly on a daily basis. Beyond the certification, you're going to be getting to know people's body, how they move, giving them the right exercises based upon their goals and how they move, and knowing how to put them in the right positions, right? A lot of this is geared around muscular anatomy. So it seems simple, but this is a really tough one. Unless you came in already with experience inside of, taking anatomy classes, it's a lot to memorize and learn. And I'm telling you guys, although on your exam, I'll give you guys a little sneak peek, on your exam, you're not going to get asked a recognition question that gives you an image like this and says, hey, Joe, label this muscle, right? Your ability to do so is great and it's huge. But that's not the type of question you're going to get. As you get into things like assessment, obviously with our overhead squat, our underactive and overactive muscles, there's a lot of muscle-specific questions there. But I believe that your ability to recall this information and apply it in your head is just also going to allow you to answer a lot of other questions. So one of the most effective strategies that we've used with our students is, and you can do this, right? You can do this even right now if you want to pause the video, is go and Google blank muscular anatomy chart, all right? Go Google blank muscular anatomy chart. You're going to find a lot of different images out there. Just choose one that has the primary muscles, right? The larger, gross, big muscles, biceps, triceps, pectoralis major, like all the prime movers, and find one that's blank. So blank muscular anatomy chart, print off 10 of them. All right. And literally at least once a week, if you do this at least once a week, you're going to be so much more prepared when it comes to the anatomy. And label it, fill it in. So all you got to do, print off that muscular anatomy chart at least once a week, go in and fill in every single muscle that you can remember, and then go spend time looking up the ones that you don't. And if you're a real pro and you're a visual learner, use Google Images, all right? So if you don't know exactly where the pectoralis major starts and ends, although you don't really need to know the origin and insertion for questions, if you know where it starts and you know where it ends and you know where the fibers run, you know exactly what movements it's involved in. So massively helpful. I can tell you after training clients for 16 years, this is a game changer when it comes to being a great coach, and it's also going to help you answer a lot of different questions on the exam. So master muscular anatomy. That is number 1, right? Number 1 of our 5 that you need to master. Number 2, which you can see on here and probably comes as no surprise, is master the OPT model. Like, not only should you be able to describe in detail each of these different phases, what the goals inside of this phase are, what the reps and the sets and the tempo looks like inside of each one of these phases, even example exercises and sets that would fit within these phases, because there's going to be a lot on this. If you guys end up looking at the percentage of questions that come from different areas, different content areas on the exam, there's almost 44% of your exam comes from chapters 13 through 23. That's like half your exam, and that is a lot of exercise application, right? Specific progressions and programming. And much of that is founded inside of the OPT model. So this comes as no surprise, but you should be a master of the OPT model if you want to do well on the exam, all the terms that go with it, tempos, speeds, repetitions, and those primary goals inside of that. And I believe that the good thing about this, even if you don't use the OPT model to the T, like I'll tell you guys, I've been working with clients for 16 years, I've trained in a lot of different ways. My programming methods do not apply the OPT model 100%, but I use a lot of concepts from this, and I think this is a great part of becoming a patient coach. So learning more, especially the concepts and ideas surrounding stabilization and understanding how if you just slow things down, you add in more isometrics, you play with stances and bases of support, you're going to do so much good for people. So I think there's a lot of value to be gained, even if you don't use it perfectly, of learning and understanding how to utilize the OPT model that you can then go on, adapt to your own training methods, and just be a much greater coach in the end. So number 2 there, OPT model. Master the OPT model. Number 3 on here, Chapter 7, all right? So this is one of the only areas, one of the only 5, mastered areas that I'm going to give you that is a specific chapter. But I'm giving you guys Chapter 7 because it encompasses a lot of other concepts or introduces a lot of things as well. There's a lot of terminology that comes out of this chapter, and a lot of it ends up circling back and tying into things like flexibility and assessments. So although, as you look at our percentages of exam questions from chapters 5 through 10, which is like your basic and applied sciences, only around 15% of your questions will come from all those chapters. So chapter 7 specific questions might not be a large number, but your mastery of chapter 7 concepts is going to help you answer and apply a lot of other things. And not to mention too, this is like, some deep exercise science concepts that, although it's probably going to take a little while to really understand, apply, and master some of these, as you get further on as a coach, these are things that are going to help separate you amongst other coaches and trainers that are out there, right? So these are foundational concepts inside of chapter 7, so I would pay special attention to the stuff that's inside this chapter. Moving into our last 2 of our 5 major concepts that you really need to master if you guys want to do well on the NASM exam. Number 4, levels of progression. And this is kind of probably a little bit of a cheat because it kind of ties back into the OPT model, but very specifically, as you guys look at the chapters 13 through 20 especially, you're looking at things like balance training, core training, plyometric training, SAQ training, some specific training modalities. You want to pay attention to the levels of progression they give you in there. Now, they very much coincide with the OPT model. If you think about setting a foundation with stabilization and then strength and power, it's pretty much level 1, level 2, and level 3 exercise progressions inside of each one of these chapters. So I would pay attention to these because not only are they great exercises for you to learn, right? So you can understand how to go about progressing people over time and have some good concepts to help you there. But these are also very common test questions, very specific ones too. If you're not specifically paying attention to some of the recommendations inside of there, the progressions, these are easy questions to get right or wrong. So this is areas where I would review the example exercises that are in these chapters and be knowledgeable about these levels of progression and what they're looking for, because it's going to come up consistently on your exam. It's a relatively big percentage of the questions that get asked. And moving on into the number 5, right, of our 5, I believe, concepts that you should master if you want to do well and be a great coach and trainer. And this one is assessments. And this might be a controversial one because I know as you guys are watching other videos out there, from organizations and people who create content like I do and like the Axiom Academy does to help you pass the exam, not everyone is a fan of NASM, right? And not everyone is a fan of formal assessments. And I totally get that. There's going to come a time as you guys become a coach and trainer where you're going to fine tune and figure out, do I do the overhead squat assessment exactly in the way that I've learned it? Do I do formal assessments? Do I do informal assessments? There's so much reality and truth to those things. But the reason that I say assessments on here is because, number one, it's definitely going to be on your guys' exam, right? For sure it's going to show up. And a lot of concepts that tie into it, not just knowing your overactive and underactive muscles that are on this chart right here with the overhead squat, the push-pull assessment. You're going to need to know those because they're going to be test questions that come up, so you want to make sure you understand it. But also a lot of other things, right? Reciprocal inhibition, synergistic dominance, other terms that surround your understanding of overactive and underactive muscles, right? So it's definitely going to come up on your exam. And the other reason that I think, even if you don't use these specifically, like even if you don't with every single client who comes in, once you get certified, do a formal overhead squat assessment, being great at the assessment does definitely mean that you have a higher level understanding of movement mechanics and the body. And if you do, if you really, really master some of the concepts that are included here in assessments, you'll find that you can actually see some of this stuff with other movements, right? Just by having people do things like bodyweight squats and other exercises, you can still pick up on a lot of this. So that's great. It's going to make you a more versatile trainer and coach, and it's also going to give you a higher level of knowledge to work with when it comes to correcting exercise technique, choosing the right exercises, better understanding injuries, all the things, right? All the things that you're going to incur and experience once you're actually out there coaching and training clients. So those are our 5 most important content areas and concepts that I believe if you only had the ability to focus on those 5 areas, that you would be in a pretty good place at not only doing pretty well on a large majority of exam questions, but also really becoming a great coach, because I think those areas translate a lot into real life training with clients. So then if you guys haven't already accessed and downloaded our free study guide, then you guys can check out the link in the video here, right? Check out the description and you guys will find a link to download our free study guide. And we've just spent a ton of time going through creating some free resources for more coaches like you, because we just want to see people thrive and be successful. I know there are millions of people out there who need your help, they need your guidance, and I know personal trainers and coaches make the world a better place. I know because I've been doing it for so long, and I can't imagine doing anything else. So hopefully this serves you guys in the process of just making your study process a little bit easier, focusing on the right things. And this study guide breaks down inside of literally every chapter, major bullet points. Hey, here's the major concepts to pay attention to in the chapter. Here's flashcards to go along with it, additional videos. It's a killer resource, so utilize this resource. Give it away, give it to other people, whatever it is. We just want to make sure you guys do well and you're off to a better start in the industry, because I know that's where so many people fail, is this launch point. Either A, they never make it to the exam because maybe like you, they get into the material, they get overwhelmed, life takes over, and then they just set it to the side. We don't want that to be you guys, right? I don't want you to be one of those statistics. You got to stay consistent, stay on top of this. If you guys have other questions in regards to studying, right, in regards to how to approach the material, then just know we also have some additional things you guys can take advantage of outside of the study guide. Not only do we have a free Facebook group, which you can find that link in the description, all kinds of good stuff down here in the description. You guys can join the Facebook study group. People asking consistent questions, getting feedback, those taking the exam. And it's just a cool place to be able to celebrate those, especially once you guys get certified and maybe you have questions about the next level, right? The next step. And if you guys have taken away anything from this video so far, please hit the like button, subscribe to our channel. We're going to continue to make great content for new coaches and trainers who are trying to find success and traction in the industry like yourself. And if you really want to go deep, you want to spend some more time with me on a video call, phone call, then we'd love to offer you guys the opportunity to jump on a coaching call. We do this with anyone and everyone from around the world. First off, I just like connecting with new coaches and trainers. We do this with trainers from different countries, different states. So feel free to take advantage of that. You guys can find the link to that in the description as well. And I'll see you guys on the next video.